Okay, now we're going to review the types of dominance. So again, on the Power School page, this is on the Wednesday, Thursday page. It starts off here with some notes, some vocab review. This is something that I put on last year, kind of doing an explanation of what you've done so far. So if I go now to my little camera, if you think of the dominant and the recessive allele, what they have actually found out, what Gregor Mendel did, which I'm going to put right in the middle because he's kind of the center of this genetics, because he's known as the father of genetics with what he did with his pea plants. He found complete dominance. And remember, in complete dominance, I'll use red and white, that our two alleles, one will completely dominate and shut off the expression of the recessive if you're heterozygous. So these different types of dominance, I want you to focus on the heterozygotes, because if you're homozygous, big R, this would be red, and if you're homozygous recessive, in this case, it would be white. But if you're the heterozygote in complete dominance, you match the homozygous dominant with red. Okay? So the first deviation off of Gregor Mendel's work was called incomplete dominance. And as the name indicates, the two alleles that exist, and we'll stick with red and white. Red cannot completely dominate white. And this, again, is only an issue in the heterozygote. Okay? Because in a big R, we'll go with a flower. We'll say these are flowers. It's red and red. So, of course, the color is going to be red. If an individual gets two little r's, the only allele they have is white, so their flowers will be white. But it's the heterozygote. So if the red cannot completely shut off the white, what's going to happen? Well, in an incomplete dominance, you're going to have a bleed. Okay? If you don't like that, then think of mixing paint. The heterozygote is going to blend or bleed together. So the red and the white will actually create a new phenotype, which is pink. We didn't have pink in complete dominance. So we have a third phenotype. I have red flowers, white flowers, and I can have pink flowers if the gene is incompletely dominant. If it's the same gene and it's a complete dominance, you'll only have red and white. So again, the third one is mixing paint. If you mix red paint with white paint, you get pink paint. So whether or not traits are determined this way was figured out by simply doing experiments and seeing that third phenotype, which indicated something was going on with that, in this case, red dominant allele. Notice for individuals, you still have to have genotypes with two alleles because they still have two parents and they inherit an allele from each parent. Okay, so now let's take a look at the third type of dominance, which is called codominance. Now, I do want to show you, again, the explanation for incomplete dominance is still on this Wednesday, Thursday page of last week. We went over the pink flowers, but the codominance, you're going to have to move to the Friday of last week. And here's the codominance. So one thing about the codominance is, again, as the word indicates, co references together, like a partnership. So again, you're still going to have a red allele and you're going to have a white allele. But when we use lowercase letters, it represents some sort of recessiveness. In codominance, there is not a recessive. So we're going to break some of the rules and we're going to use a different letter. Remember, usually when you use a different letter, it's because you're looking at a different trait. So we're going to capitalize the W and the R to represent the codominance. In some books, they might do something like write a C for like color and put R's and W's on them. Okay. They also might do that over here. They might put capital R's and lowercase r's. And then over here, they'll just do like this. That's usually an indication that you're not looking at the complete dominant pattern that Mendel saw. So again, these are just what's going on. How's the body reading the elite, the genes? Complete dominant, red shuts off white. Incomplete dominant, red and white bleed together to make pink, or codominance. In a codominance, they both show up in the heterozygote. So the heterozygote will be written like this or like this, depending upon if you're using superscripting. Again, you can have individuals in the population that might get two reds, one from each parent. Well, they're going to be red. If they get two whites, they're going to be white. The problem's in the heterozygote. So in this case, the phenotype RW is not going to bleed and make pink, but both will show up equally. So when you write those out, you put red and white. And sometimes, you might see these in splotches, in stripes, in dots. If you remember this flower, you can see how the petal has red and white. If this was incomplete dominant, it would be a pink flower. So that's the difference between the three dominants. Now on Friday's page, you were given some practice problems that you did on paper with the aliens. And then there were these on the page, which you didn't really get to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the next video and I'm going to go over these practice problems. Because one thing you'll have to do on a test is decide what kind of inheritance is it. And there's hints within the problem that will tell you.